So, Dragonmaids. I spent a week working on Dragonmaids, give or take, and I ended up creating 7 different decks based around them, trying out a whole bunch of different concepts. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through my thought process between all 7 different versions of them until I finally found one that actually kind of worked. And at the end of this thing, I eventually came to the conclusion that Dragonmaids are not very good. But let's start off with deck version number 1. Version number 1 of Dragonmaids. First, I should probably explain what the Dragonmaids do. Okay, so I thought this would be a better visual to show how Dragonmaids work. Basically, you have the human form of the Dragonmaids, which are all level 2 and 3. And then you have the dragon forms, which are all level 7 and 8. And during the battle phase, at the start of the battle phase, the level 2 and 3 dragons can tag out into the big dragons from your hand or graveyard. And then at the end of the battle phase, the big dragons can tag back out into the smaller dragons from your hand. So, if the big dragons are in the graveyard, the small dragons can tag out, they return themselves to your hand, and then will special summon the big dragon from the graveyard. And then when the big dragon returns, it goes back to your hand, and then will bring out the small dragon from your hand. So you can actually gain advantage if you bring out the big dragons from the graveyard, because they'll eventually return to your hand. So, that's the gist of all of their effects. Now, they each have an individual effect as well. All of the big dragons have a hand effect. None of them are useful. So, the little ones, they're the ones who carry it. So, Dragon, the nursery one, she's able to special summon a Dragonmaid from your graveyard, one of the little ones, when she's brought out, and their effects are all hard once per turns. Laundry is able to mill the top 3 cards of your deck. Kitchen is able to search a card and then discard a card. Well, not discard, send it to the graveyard. That's going to be kind of a problem as we continue on in this video. And then Parlor will be able to mill a Dragonmaid card directly from your deck to the graveyard. And then there's a fusion monster who has effects that interact with the Dragonmaids. Basically, if a Dragonmaid returns... No, if a Dragon-type monster returns to your hand, you can destroy a card on the field. And this is not once per turn. So, if you return all 4 Dragonmaids to your hand to special summon their big versions, the fusion card can destroy 4 cards. That's pretty good. Also, during the standby phase, you can special summon a Dragonmaid monster that's 1 level higher or lower. So, if you have one of the level 2 Dragonmaids, during the standby phase, you can special summon one of the level 3 Dragonmaids from your graveyard, and vice versa. And if you have the big ones, same thing. If you have the level 7s, you can special summon a level 8. If you have level 8, you can special summon a level 7. It also has some protection that's not very good. And then we have the spell and traps. So, Dragonmaid Changeover, it's their fusion card. Unfortunately, it does not have fusion in its name, which was kind of a pain in the butt. But this card does have a decent effect, where if it's in the graveyard, you can return a Dragonmaid from your side of the field to your hand in order to add it to your hand, which will proc the fusion monster's effect to destroy a card. So, this card is usually just sent to the graveyard with the green Dragonmaid, because she can send the card directly from the deck to the graveyard, and then it just returns one of the Dragonmaids in order to get it out. So, you can get this card real easily. Next up, we have Dragonmaid Hospitality. This is probably the only good card in the deck. It allows you to special summon any Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard. That includes the baby ones and the adult ones. And then you can mill a Dragonmaid from your deck to the graveyard. Basically, if you special summon a baby one, you can mill their adult version from the deck. If you special summon the adult one, you can mill their baby version from the deck. It's really good. It's a hard once per turn, though, unfortunately. The other 3 aren't as good. It's not even worth talking about. I don't even use the quick play because it's not useful. So, now let's go into the actual deck itself. First up, we have dangers. Because you see this little card over here, Super Rejuvenation, was released from the ban list. Basically because Dragonmaids came out, and Dragonmaids cannot use Super Rejuvenation as well as Dragon Rulers could. So, I tried for a really long time to get Super Rejuvenation to work because I thought this card was amazing. And it is in basically Dragon Rulers and nothing else. Maybe Heretics can use it, but Dragonmaids cannot. So, the reason I'm using Dangers is because the Dragonmaids don't mind if they're in the graveyard. They have lots of graveyard interaction. And also, Super Rejuvenation lets you draw off the Dangers discarding. So I thought, hey, that's great. Just danger cards. I'm also going to be using Dragon Ruler, Ruler of the Storms in every single one of these decks, including the Baby Dragon, because it's actually really good. And also, because Tempest combos with the Fusion Monster, it returns to your hand if it stays out in the field during your turn. And that does activate the Fusion Monster's effect to destroy a card in the field. So, let's go into some duels with this very first one. So this first duel is Danger Dragonmaids versus Endymion. So it's just doing normal danger stuff, discarding, trying to get combo pieces on the board. Doesn't work very well. It does get a laundry to mill a little bit. Is able to go into a Guard Dragon, which is going to set up some nice combos with Red Eye's Metal Dragon. No fusions though, no other really Guard Dragon stuff. I found this deck just didn't work very well just because unless you drew into Super Rejuvenation, you weren't really able to recover from the amount of resources the Dangers use. Because the deck is kind of reliant on Super Rejuvenation. It was still able to put up a board with whatever hand it had. Not a good one, but it was able to do something. So, you know, it just gets destroyed. My entire field gets wiped, and then he locks me out of spells. So, you know, that's game over. I had more duels with this. I had a lot more. I just lost them all because I did this like a month ago. So, the Danger engine ended up being a failure. Because Super Rejuvenation, there's no way to really search it out. And it's not very good even when it does resolve. Next up, we have version number 2 of Dragonmaids. This is actually not version number 2. This is like a very heavily play-tested version of it, where I eventually went with level 7 monsters. Because I thought, hey, the level 7 dragons are brought out super easy. What if I go into the excellent rank 7 engine of Exceeds monsters? And also, hey, Dragoon of Red Eyes is really good. I could totally bring that out with this deck because the Dragonmaids themselves cannot be destroyed by card effects while you control a fusion monster. And this is a Dragon Fusion monster. So I thought, hey, they could work together well. If I just use Preta Plant Verte in order to use Red Eye's Fusion, I can send one of the many dragons I use to the graveyard along with Dark Magician. And then I'll have a negate on board. He can't be targeted by anything, and he also can destroy monsters once per turn. It's super good. Not really using the Dragonmaids, but I don't care. They need something to help support them because they're not very good on their own. And obviously, I'm still using Super Rejuvenation at this point. I hadn't given up on it yet. I didn't give up on it until way later on in the process. So, I have this hand trap in here because it's a dragon type who discards in order to use its effect. Basically, if one of your cards is targeted by a card effect, you can discard this card from your hand to stop it. That's all it does. I think I also added Phantasme. It's just a good card. It's also a dragon. I thought, hey, maybe it get discarded with Super Rejuvenation. Except, like, the Dragonmaids themselves were just not super useful. All the adult dragons have an effect where you can discard them from your hand in order to do something. But none of their effects are good. So this one I thought, hey, what if I focus on that a little bit more? So the pink adult dragon has a hand effect where you can discard it to special summon one of your baby dragons from your hand. And I thought I could probably use that a lot. That wasn't the case. it's just not good. So let's watch the replay. Now, I will say, I do win some of these duels. I think I win a majority of the ones that I show, just to give a good showing of how the decks actually work. So, wonderful first turn play of a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and then a Laundry. That way I can go into some Dragonmaids from the graveyard. Not that it's going to matter. That's just going to send my card to the grave. It's fine. Ooh, Phantasme. Now I get to selectively choose my hand. Phantasme is kind of really good. I think it single-handedly won me a couple of duels. Kind of wish I played it in more of the decks, but he just didn't really fit the final version very well. So, I finally get out an Ondaconda. He tries to return it to my hand with Siliquis. I don't think I said that right. And I negate it with Phantasme, which was great, which means I can bring out Dragoon, who is ridiculously overpowered. And I'm totally good. He has Nibiru in his hand. Ooh, luckily I was able to avoid it. I think I was like at just under 5 special summons for the turn. Or maybe not, I don't know. I think I forgot. He did something, I think, that locked him out of special summoning. And Nibiru, it did end me a couple of times. Next up we have an Orcus deck. So, this starting opening hand right here is pretty standard of Dragonmaids. I can do something with it. So I think this guy just gets out a whole bunch of monsters and then has like 2-3 negates ready to go. So there's negate number 1, getting rid of Tempest. And then negate number 2, stopping Laundry from milling 3 cards. And then negate number 3, destroying the card when I try to tag out during the battle phase. And I think that's not it. I'm pretty sure I survive for one more turn in order before I finally lose. I don't remember though. Yeah, I don't think he has enough damage to kill me right here. Though I do actually have some stuff. I kind of wish Laundry was still in the graveyard. Ooh, but then I actually drew the Adult Dragon with the only good effect. Special summon directly from my hand. Some Guard Dragon shenanigans. Oh, and then it gets DD Crowed. What about Dragon Ravine in order to do nothing with it? Because all of my cards are banished. Like, Dragon Ravine, it has 3 targets in this deck. The 3 targets are Tempest, the Guard Dragon, and Destrudo, but none of those were live, so I ended up losing. This deck's not very good. I wasn't able to come back. I wasn't able to play through 3 negates, but then again, what kind of deck is able to do those kinds of things? No Super Rejuvenation again, so I think I finally abandoned it. I was like, what if I try 10 Ys? So, the idea behind 10 Ys is they have really good support cards. Like, their field spell card and their counter trap are both just superb. And Dragonmaids have level 7 monsters. 10 Ys have level 7 monsters that can special summon themselves from your hand. So, if I go into Dracosac, I can special summon 2 tokens who count themselves as normal monsters. And then that will give the field spell card basically its activation cost, where as long as you control a normal monster or a face down monster, and your opponent activates, I think it's just they special summon a monster. If your opponent special summons an effect monster, yeah, you get to draw 2 cards. That's super good. If you resolve this effect one time, it's a +1. And it's really easy to do. It also makes your monster in the main monster zone, all non-effect monsters are unaffected by monster effects. Oh, okay. Never mind. It's just basically this is the only guy. He's just in here just in case I need to become immune to monster effects. The counter trap. Oh, that's actually why he's in here. The counter trap itself can be activated. It's an Omni Negate. It stops a spell, trap, or monster effect. You just need to have a normal monster on the field in order to activate it. And also, if this face down card is destroyed, you can special summon a non-effect monster from your extra deck. Which again is why I'm playing the 10E Link. So, I have that 1 copy of Super Rejuvenation, still not giving up on it. I'm still playing Dragoon because he was so good. He was winning me duels on his own. I don't think I really showed those because basically I summoned this card. My opponent didn't have anything to out it, so he just gave up. This card is really good. Then the normal monsters, I thought, hey, these are going to go to the graveyard a lot. That will make the Tenyi Link monster live. Its effect is basically, it's really easy to bring out, and it can destroy a number of monsters equal to the number of normal monsters in your graveyard. So, it could potentially destroy a lot of monsters. So let's see how the Tenyi deck did. Okay, so this one is against a Salamangreat player. I draw into my guard in my opening hand, not very good. Doesn't matter very much because I am able to get into Dracosack immediately. I'm not able to activate its effect though. He impermanences it, so my counter trap is not live. However, if he is able to destroy it, and I have a free extra monster zone, I can special summon a monster from it, but nothing super good. It wasn't a very decent opening hand. He just returns it to my deck. He's going to easily attack over Dracosack, and then I'm basically screwed. I got nothing. Yeah, I think I'm basically just game over. He even has Phantasme to set up a hand trap. And then he Galaxy Cyclones the card. So this card has a really good effect if it's destroyed. However, lots of people, it's like half and half whether they play Galaxy Cyclone or Twin Twisters. Most of them on, like, don't even main deck Spell or Trap card destruction. So I'm kind of just playing it just in case it gets destroyed by Phoenix. I lose pretty badly in this one. The deck itself, I think it does much better in this replay. I think I go into Dracosack again, maybe? But I did draw into the Field Spell card, which is really good. And I'm able to go into Dracosack, so I have the 2 tokens. So the Field Spell card is live. If he special summons an effect monster, I get to draw 2 cards now. There we go. The only hand trap I have is Phantasme, which allows me to basically set up my hand, and now I have 1 negate if he tries to target my cards. I don't think Orcus really targets, so it's not super useful against them, unless they use a non-Orcus card. Yeah, so he just kind of got rid of 2 of my cards that have protection, because that's how Orcus get rid of things. I'm able to use up his negate with the Tenyi's Graveyard effect. So this card, it's basically, I can bounce a card on the field as long as I control a normal monster and it's in the grave. So since the tokens count as normal monsters, I was trying to bounce his Dingirsu, but that didn't work. And it also, I did something else that locked me out of special summoning for the turn, so I got screwed. But I was able to negate 1, I'm pretty sure I lose because of that, actually. I think I special summoned, I don't know, I forget what it was, but I locked myself out of special summoning except Tenyi monsters. I think it just locked me out of special summoning in general. Let me check real quick. I know people get mad when I pause this. You can banish this card from your hand or graveyard, special summon a Tenyi monster from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Worm Monster. Yeah, that's the card I used. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so this field right here, it's pretty impressive. He doesn't have any negates, though, that I can see, except for this 1 Ash Blossom, and I do have a pretty hefty hand right now. If Dragonmaids are able to survive for a little bit, they are able to get a pretty decent hand. I'm able to, thankfully, get my opponent to waste their Ash Blossom on Super Rejuvenation, which sucks. And then I go into the Tenyi Link monster so that it's unaffected by card effects due to the Field Spell card. And so I can proc the Field Spell card to draw more cards. However, I don't think this deck is playing very much hand traps. So I use the negate to stop it from being banished. He's going to go into Boral Sword Dragon, which should easily allow him to attack over my monster. Yeah, and then I just lose. This is basically how the Tenyi duels went. It seemed like such a good idea on paper. It didn't work out very well with the Dragonmaids. This is why this deck eventually got abandoned. And then I went into deck version number 4, I think. This one is focusing on Preta Plant, specifically Preta Plant Verte Anaconda. At this point, I was like, well, all of the decks I've made so far are pretty mediocre. They're able to do okay if I draw okay, but that's not a good deck. I needed to be more consistent, so I thought, hey, if I just go into Preta Plant consistently and then bring out Dragoon, that should be a good way to focus the deck. And in this version, I still did not remove Super Rejuvenation yet. Like I said, I really wanted to get it to work. I thought Dragon Ravine allows me to discard. I'm still running this hand trap to discard. You know, one of the good Dragonmaids actually has a decent discard effect, even though none of the other ones do. And then I also thought, hey, the continuous trap card is actually really good. Because it lets you return a Dragonmaid you control to your hand in order to add any Dragonmaid card from your deck to your hand, which includes the really good Dragonmaid Hospitality. So I thought I'd run extra copies of this, because it also allows me to like send them back to my hand in order to proc the Fusion Monsters effect, who I don't think has been brought out yet. It definitely sees play. You'll see as these replays continue. So let's see how the Preta Plant version pans out. So first up we have a Thunder Dragon deck, and I draw into Red Eyes Fusion, which is terrible. This usually gets Ash Blossomed. Luckily, my opponent didn't have Ash Blossom in his hand. Otherwise, that probably would have just ended me the game right there. Dragoon going for negates. He's trying to do his thing. I have like a super indestructible boss monster that has a negate and can destroy cards. He brings out Boral Sword Dragon, which allows him to beat over that anyway. And that's all he has, though. I don't have anything else. I have two big Dragonmaids, Red Eyes Metal Dragon. This is also another one of the weaknesses of this deck, is how many big monsters it plays. It bricks a lot. I don't show those because they're not very fun. It's like, hey, look at me brick a whole bunch of times. I'm basically just showing duels in which it was actually able to do something. So here's duel number 2. You know, remember, this is about the Link monster, the Preta Plant card, to bring out Dragoon. So I'm going against a Sky Striker player right here, who doesn't have any dangerous cards out in the field. And my opening hand, oh, pretty good with Red Eyes Metal Darkness Dragon. We would actually go for some Dragonmaid combos. I'm also able to actually use the continuous spell card, which I played around with. The continuous spell card allows you to add any Dragonmaid card from your graveyard to your hand if you control 2 or more Dragonmaid monsters, which was actually a lot harder to accomplish than you'd think. And it also gives them a minor attack boost, based on the amount of Dragonmaids in the grave or something. So in this one, I'm actually able to get out the Fusion Monster, the Preta Plant, and Dragoon, while also having a Dragonmaid on the field, so I can use its effect to special summon another one from the grave. And you see how, after a full turn of combos, Super Rejuvenation gave me 1 card. That was... Super Rejuvenation is just not good with Dragonmaids. It's just not. It doesn't appear in the good versions of this deck. Doing lots of Dragonmaid stuff, returning to the hand in order to get the big dragons back. He can't really do anything with Dragoon out. He stole my Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Don't really need it, especially since I can just bring it out with Guard Dragons. I made a mistake there. I didn't mean to bring out Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. I thought I had another Fusion monster in my extra deck, but I didn't. It didn't matter because I was winning really easily. Like, look at all this damage on board. And all these cards in my hand. None of that thanks to Super Rejuvenation. So, it was okay. It did okay. It wasn't the best thing in the world. So, this next version, I finally removed Super Rejuvenation. I finally was like, that's the last straw. This card has just never been good. It hasn't contributed to any of the wins, despite how much I've been trying to get it to work, because this card has the potential to draw so much. You just can't really use those drawn cards. So in this version, I thought, hey, Dragonmaids. They're all around the battle phase. It's not very good first turn combos. So what if I just use a whole bunch of negate trap cards and also focus on the level 7 engine? Because Big Eye is good, right? You know, hey, I can use Pancratops. Pancratop's good. I think this is probably the first time I used Super Rejuvenation. No, I think it was like a one-off in some of these. It wasn't really heavily used until this one. So with Super Rejuvenation, I just played Mud Dragon and Starving Venom Fusion for it. And this one is more of a control version, where I'm not trying to go into too many combos, maybe just trying to rely on the battle phase and try to negate so that I can get into the battle phase more often, and then focus on the level 7 ones. So I'm not even playing all the Dragonmaids, I'm just playing the ones that allow me to go into the 2 level 7 ones, and then one of the level 8 ones, because the green Dragonmaid allows me to send the fusion card to the graveyard, which is super important to the deck. Okay, so trap-heavy version of Dragonmaids. Yep, that's a starting play, alright. 1 laundry and then 2 traps. I'm playing against an invoked Sky Striker deck. I think I might actually win this one. Because he has Nibiru in his hand, and this deck is not about going into a whole bunch of combo plays. So that's probably never going to get used. And I was able to negate some key cards during the first turn, despite my terrible first play. Never mind, I'm special summoned a lot. Here comes Nibiru. Oh man. Well, hey, Dragonmaids, you know, if you let them do their thing, over the course of a couple of turns, they'll eventually get pretty decent advantage because of the battle phase tagging out system. See, like, during this phase, I'm special summoning the card from the graveyard, and it's going to return to my hand, so at the end of the battle phase, I'm going +1. And you do that with all your Dragonmaids. So they have potential. I'm still running Preta Plant and Dragoon, because Dragoon is like the only thing that was letting me win. And in fact, I was basically just relying on this card to do everything for me. Look at all those traps negating everything. I have another negate on the field. I still have enough life points where I don't have to worry about Preta Plant Verte getting destroyed. And wow, actually came out with a win. It seems like this deck is super good. So what's wrong with it? It's just not very consistent. Look at this hand. 4 level 7 monsters, and then 2 trap cards, none of the baby dragons. I pay half my life points to negate 1 card. Luckily, he didn't have anything else going on, so a normal summon Thunder Dragon play was all he was able to pull off. And then I draw into another trap card, and I have no monsters on the field. I'm screwed. There's no way I can win this. That's game over. This is why this deck was abandoned, because if you don't draw into the combo pieces, the trap cards can't actually stall out long enough for you to get them. So I was like, no, I'm playing too many traps, not enough monsters, you know, and there's still too many big monsters in the deck. This just won't work. It's not consistent. Even though, you know, hey, the first duel seemed like it was pretty good. It was able to negate a lot of things, but that's kind of the nature of cherry-picking duels. Overall, it wasn't very consistent, and it ran a potential of, look at all these bricks right there, especially since I was still going with the Dragoon engine. So, on to the 6th version of Dragonmaids. This is the Hydralander version, aka the level 8 version. I thought, you know, the Grand Maju decks, a lot of their success is owed to the fact that they can go into rank 8 monsters pretty easily, since Sky Prison can shut down the graveyard, and Ngursu is always pretty decent. And I thought, hey, Hydralander, this will help out a lot. It's a spell speed 2 destroy. I can even play Nibiru in this version, still not really playing any other hand traps. I forgot the reason why. I think it was just because I thought I'm going to be trying to go second since I'm playing evenly matched. And in that case, I would still probably need the hand traps. I don't know, I'm just really low on them. I think it's because I was playing Hydrolander. With this card, you don't want multiple copies in your graveyard. So, since the Dragonmaids themselves are 8 cards, I thought I could just run one of each, and then a whole bunch of support cards, and try to get this version to work. I'm also running triple super polymerization, since I can fit it in, I guess, or I thought it would be pretty good. And I'm still running Verte and Dragoon, which I think this is the last time it appears in the deck. So I guess it appears in a lot of them. I was running Dragoon for a long time. So, how did this version of the deck work out? I think it wasn't half bad. It wasn't as bad as the trap card version, which was just really inconsistent. I'm pretty sure I lose this duel though, because it wasn't good either. Like, there's a reason I just gave up on this deck. So, Verte into a Dragoon. I have a Dragonmaid out. I have Relaxation. You know, what could go wrong? I even have a Negate. I stopped a super strong boss monster from coming out. And oh look, an Eater of Millions. That can easily get over Dragoon. You know, I go into my Dragonmaid to get the +1 off of its effect. He uses Pancratops to destroy it. I try to use the Continuous to return it to my hand and go gain advantage. Then he negates it, so the Pancratops goes off and destroys my card. So I'm at a huge disadvantage. I need to destroy Eater of Millions by some kind of card effect. You know, I'm able to search out Hospitality, but I can't really do anything else because he also negated my other card. I don't have any other summons for the turn, and this is just game over. He's just going to pick apart my board and attack with all of his strong monsters. Grand Maju is really good. I can't beat that. So next up we have a lower tier deck. I tried to only show duels against actual good decks. This isn't a really good one. It's basically an ABC Buster Dragon deck. And I get to Nibiru it, so, you know, pretty good opening hand on my part. I even have Hydrolander, which I don't think makes an appearance. Because I go into Dragoon because unfortunately I drew into Red Eyes Fusion. When you do that, you can't summon any other monsters for the turn. Kind of the shame, but hey, I Nibiru'd their board. I also have Dragoon to negate. He tries to destroy me. That's not gonna happen. It's gonna get negated, and then that's game over. So, what was wrong with this version of the deck? It was just kind of a mismatch of a whole bunch of different things that didn't work super well together. Like, they can't bring out Dragoon very easily. I originally ran it because it's a fusion monster, and I thought it would give protection to the big dragons, but I ended up just using Dragoon in order to negate stuff. And if I wasn't able to bring out Dragoon, I couldn't do anything else. And this is the one where I finally just ended up quitting, because I was like, I already had 6 versions of this deck. Nothing seems to be working, so I gave up, and I played like a pure version of Dragonmaids. And it was the most consistent version I'd played so far. So I was like, hold up. This consistent version of Dragonmaids is actually not doing half bad. What if I just add guard dragons to it? That's it. You know, pure Dragonmaids with just guard dragons. And also some hand traps. And super polymerization. And this was the best version of Dragonmaids I played so far. Basically, I just had to play as many Dragonmaids as I could. I kept Tempest. Tempest was really good. It's basically like a Dragonmaid. It combos so well with them. Adding some hand traps in was really long overdue. I wasn't really having any negate. I think it's because I was using Dragoon that I thought I didn't need hand traps. It's not really good. Hand traps, like a well-timed one, can win you a game. Super polymerization, also super good. I'm running Starving Venom Fusion and this new card, where it just requires a Cypress monster and a Link monster as materials, which is like so many cards. This card was basically created as a super poly target, and it's a lot better than Mud Dragon of the Swamp. So, this version of Guard Dragons, Dragonmaids, let's show how this one does. It actually performed the best. It was you know, here, let's just show. The best opening hand is open up with Dragonmaid. I didn't open up good because I also opened up with my Garnet. Luckily, I can special summon it from the deck, and then I'm able to go into Guard Dragon combos, where I bring out the Synchro monster. It allows me to search out 2 cards. I've been using Cloth Sheep in a couple of duels that never actually saw play. I'm able to use World Legacy Guard Dragon to move Elpie, so I can special summon a card from the deck. I bring out Red Eyes Metal Dragon again, and I end up with the Palooza, the fusion monster, and a Dragonmaid on board. So I can actually do stuff, and I'm going against a pretty decent Sky Striker deck. You know, I just had a really good first turn play. My opponent didn't open up any hand traps. This deck can play through negates, and I think in the next duel, I play through a whole bunch of them and still win. So, turns out all I needed was the Guard Dragon engine, and that helped it significantly. See, look at the fusion monster's actually doing plays. It's destroying things. Even against a Sky Striker player with a full back row. I'm not worried at all. Like, I have so much card advantage and so many combos that all that back row, it's like I have so many cards I can just play through whatever. As long as you don't destroy the entire field. Which he doesn't. He has lots of negates. Lots of bouncing stuff. Doesn't matter, you know, hey look, another negate, not a big deal. I think it does stop the battle phase though, because they basically steal my highest attack monster, just so I can't really do anything. And then I just go into more plays, bring out a Dragonmaid. I get my card back, so I left a zone open for it. He's gonna try to pick apart my board. I actually have a hand trap this time. Not very useful because he just has another engage. I basically am like so ahead in this one that I'm not even super worried about anything, but man, he is gaining lots of advantage and picking apart my board. Even though I was able to just play through everything. I draw into a Hospitality. I still have Red Eyes Metal on the field. Red Eyes Metal doesn't target, so he wasn't able to actually chain Designator to something good. He was able to chain Shark Cannon to the other Guard Dragon that I was trying to special summon from the graveyard. So I get out the Fusion Monster again. I have 2 Dragonmaids on the field, which means I can destroy 2 monsters. And there's number 2, so his entire field is cleared. And I have a full board of 6 monsters again. And I'm not worried about anything he has in the back row, because he doesn't have anything. So, it's a pretty easy win, even though he was negating half the things I was trying to do. So, next up we have a Thunder Dragon player. I don't think he negates as much as the Sky Striker player did. I think I basically just win this one because of Super Polymerization. So, he brings out IP Masquerina, does some Guard Dragon plays, and I think he ends the board on a Borosaur Dragon who's immune to destruction in battle. And then he also ends on a Lord of the Lair. Hey, both of these cards are Dark type, so Super Poly is going to turn them into a Venom Fusion Dragon. I'm going to go into Tempest, and I don't really have any plays. If he's able to come back from this, I don't really have much I can do other than stalling out with Tempest, since I have dragons in the grave, and I drew into one of my cards I definitely can't use in my hand. And it doesn't matter, because he can't really come back from this either. It comes from a 1-1, and then that's game over. This first duel is a lot better indication of what this deck's able to accomplish. It was able to get a full board of monsters multiple times. I'm not going to show the entire duel again. Unless I want to walk you through the Guard Dragon combo, in case you don't actually know what that is. So, the Guard Dragon combo, because it goes pretty fast, it's just basically Draconet, who will special summon Galaxy Serpent, hopefully from the deck. I had it in my hand, which is really bad. And then you go into IB, the World Chalice, who will allow you to search out World Legacy Guard Dragon from your deck. Again, really bad opening hand, actually, because she lets you search this card out from your deck. And I started with it in my hand. So I had to use Tempest because I need this card in the graveyard Because when she's sent to the graveyard, I can special summon World Chalice Guard Dragon from my deck, who is able to banish itself from the graveyard to special summon a normal monster to a zone a link monster is pointing to. And the great thing about World Legacy Guard Dragon is I can use it on my Dragonmaids, who will able to use their effects to set up the graveyard and stuff. And then this card also just lets me move the Guard Dragons around on the field so that I can go for better special summons. Cloth Sheep, when I special summon a fusion monster into a zone it points to, I can special summon a level 4 lower monster from my graveyard, which combos really well with the Dragonmaids because they want one of the baby dragons on the field when the fusion monster's out, so they can give you more advantage. So, I use the Guard Dragon from the grave to bring out Galaxy Serpent, who will go into Guard Dragon LP, and then I'll move LP to a zone. With World Legacy, it allows me to move a dragon monster anywhere I want. And as long as LP is pointing to a zone that another link monster is also pointing to, then I can special summon a dragon from my deck. That's kind of a really OP effect. Especially if you bring out Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon, who lets me special summon any dragon from the graveyard or my hand. So I go into Tempest. I bring out Dragon Knight Romulus just so I get rid of LP because it locks you out of special summoning non-dragons while it's on the field. And that allows me to go to Apolza. And while this... I don't think I said that right. Paluza. I think that's more correct, which is 2 negates. And also gives me some really good link pointers so I can bring out Pitsy, who has the same effect, where if it's pointing to a zone another link monster is pointing to, then I can special summon a dragon from the graveyard, which I use on Red Eye's Darkness Metal Dragon, whose effect is a soft once per turn. And this gives me the whole board. So I basically have my Dragonmaids out, 2 negates on monster effects, and a Red Eye's Metal Dragon who's going to let me recover my field if they don't do something about it. Okay, so final thoughts on Dragonmaids after showing 7 different versions of the deck. The Dragonmaids themselves are not very good, despite the board I was able to make. I think Guard Dragons could probably do better. They could make better boards if they weren't using Dragonmaids. But they did combo surprisingly well with each other. And that was like the only way I could actually get them to work, and I was actually using the Dragonmaids for their intended purposes. And also bringing out the fusion monster pretty regularly, and actually using its effect to destroy cards on the field. So, this deck also bricks a lot too. Let's shuffle it up. Is this a usable hand? It is actually. You could use Tempest to bring out... You could use this card to bring out a Tempest from the deck. You could then use Laundry to do some stuff, to mill some cards. Ooh, a Draco Net. Opening with the Draco Net is the best. However, if you open with the Draco Net and also Galaxy Serpent and also World Legacy Guard Dragon, and if you open up with all these Garnets that you want to stay in the deck, then it doesn't really give you too much advantage. It's all because of World Chalice Judicar that this deck's able to gain the amount of advantage it has. So if your opponent just kind of stops this card, then all those plays kind of stop as well. And then you have to kind of rely on the Dragonmaids to do their own thing. Hospitality is really good for bringing them out from the graveyard and stuff. Tempest is really good for extending combo plays, so is Destrudo. So they are able to do other things if the Dragonmaid combo, if the Guard Dragon combo is stopped. But it super helps. If your opponent is playing hand traps, you can play through them. This was the only version of the deck that could really play through multiple negates. And even then, I had to get a little bit lucky for this one too, because there was lots of dead hands too. I'm playing like too many high-level monsters that can't do anything else without the little ones. That's kind of the name of the game. So, should you play Dragonmaids? I personally would not recommend them. I don't think they're very good. I should also say, Super Rejuvenation's not good for them. Trade-in did not perform very well either. Maybe I'm just bad at deck building. Maybe there is a deck that actually works really well with all this stuff. I wasn't able to find it. I tried 7 different versions of it. This version worked out really well. But hey, maybe someone who's better at making good decks than me could probably get them to work. They seem to not be terrible. They're pretty mediocre though, and you kind of have to be better than mediocre to compete.